Hi guys, I thought I'd come back and show you some piping. Um, I've just made my soap. It's actually quite warm, and I've done it in quite warm because of the fact that I do want to pipe, so I want it to thicken up really quite quickly. What we're piping today is the giraffe soap. I started making a video of this, and this has taken me 3 days to get to this stage. So I just had to get on with it because it was sitting around for too long. So this is my giraffe soap, and we're going to be piping a top on that. So I've just done up my soap, and yes, some of you will sit there and go, I've got short sleeves on. However, I've just taken my jumper off because I've stopped blending, and it's quite warm. Now I've already pre-made up my colours, and what I did was I used the oils, took some of the coconut oil and made up my colour ahead of time. I took particular note when I was actually making this to make sure that I get the colour ratios right, because I was going to do the piping afterwards. So let's get on with mixing up these colours. Now I want about a half and half ratio, because I'm going to pipe two colours at the same time. So I'm just going to pour a little bit of soap in, mix it up, really just to get the colour off my spoon, as much as I can. A little bit more, I think. I do like purple over yellow, so hence why I'm quite happy to have a little bit more purple than yellow. Right. And you'll go to see in a minute, when I go to stick blend the colours in, I'm actually going to stick blend them to quite a thick cast. And there's a reason that I'm doing that. And the reason being that you need a good consistency to be able to pipe. And one of the other things that I've seen soapers do, and because I know exactly how much colouring I'm putting in this one, a lot of people add their colour to their soap. I tend to add my soap, a little bit of soap to my colour, especially if I'm pouring it in the big pot. Stir it around, get it a bit more fluid, and then add it to the soap. I think a lot of soapers waste colour by leaving it where they've mixed it. And considering ingredients aren't cheap, I don't like to waste a thing. And saying that, I'm going to give you one of my tips. See a lot of soapers using paper towels to clean up with, which is really great. Keep your area clean, just makes it easier. This is a kitchen cloth. I don't use paper towels because they just go in the bin and just contributes to the planet and the landfill, and I do that enough anyway. You know, with the products that I make, we wrap in plastic because it's the best way to keep our products at the best, well, in the best condition for our clients. I also make a lot of plastic containers because I buy a lot of products. And while we recycle as much as we possibly can, I thought about it one day and I thought, oh, why am I throwing paper towels with perfectly good soap out? It's only a little bit of soap, it's usually a dribble or cleaning up a spot or something like that. Why can't I use that? You know, it's cure within 48 hours, so it's safe. So I started using the cloths, and sorry about that, guys. And what I do is I actually put them aside and wait for about a week, and then I just pop them in with my towels, and I do a towel wash. You know, why not? I only Superfat to 5%, so the little tiny bit of soap that I'm actually putting in my washing machine isn't really going to kill my drains. Now see how much colour I got out of that. I've left really very little colour, and normally I'd spend about a couple more minutes scraping that through to make sure I got it super clean, but you don't have all day, and neither do I, because the soap's going to start thickening up on us, and that's exactly what we do want. We want nice thick soap. So again, I need to put something down on the bench. I'm going to grab a paper towel, put it on that. Bench stays clean. I can wash that up later. So quickly. Now, I got a few bubbles in that, and I wasn't meant to, but I don't usually soap in this little amount of soap. It's just because we're piping, but I've made just a bit to do the piping. I've already made the 4 soaps that it's going on top of. I made them yesterday, and I will hot gel them today in the oven. Normally this pot is full, so now let's do the purple. Boop it. Now this is the problem, and this is the problem I've had with this colour in it before. You can see that that's gone nice and thick. And it's a great colour, but it doesn't stay that colour, unfortunately, when I gel it. It goes a nice neon pink, not the purple. So I'm just going to scrape that down, because I don't want to blend that too much more. It's getting to about the thickness that you want for a piping, but not quite. So the thing with piping is it is really about consistency and practice. I've said this before, I'm an ex-baker. I've baked lots and lots of cupcakes and decorated them with lots and lots of piping tips and learned quite a few things. Not a professional. I have done a few weddings, but I'm not a professional. But I just learned over time. See, you'd think that was thick enough to pipe with? Not even close. It needs a lot more than that. So this is going to take about 15 to 20 minutes to set up, and you need to stir constantly. If you do not stir constantly, you will end up with lumps, and you just won't be able to pipe. And make sure that you're stirring right down to the bottom and then giving a good scrape. So we'll set that aside. And I'll just keep stirring that. This one, however, look at that. Look at the difference between the two colours. So I'm going to go back in. And I'm not too precious. I mean, I know some people would turn around and clean this all off and start again. It's piping. It's a little bit of colour. It's not really a big deal. Getting there. What I want to do is blend this so it's got the same sort of consistency as the purple. This is going to take a bit of blending, so I'm just going to put you on pause. I'll blend it up. I will stir it for the next quarter of an hour, 20 minutes, and then I'll bring you back once I start filling the piping bag. Hi guys, I'm back. Now I've gone away, had a quick cuppa, a little bit of a break, and coming back to this. Now you can see it is thickening up, but it's not quite thick enough. A lot of you will go, how thick does it need to be? It needs to be able to stand up. See, that one's still not quite thick enough. Because I blended the yellow, that has come along a lot further. See how it's standing up nicely on the sides here? That's what we want. We want it to be able to stand up like that on its own, so that when you're piping it, it's not just going to run all over you. Nice, beautiful soap. Now I have taken my gloves off. I prefer not to wear gloves when I'm piping. I just find the gloves make it too difficult, and it just makes it really hard to get the texture I need. So let's give this one a stir. See that one? See the difference? That one just plopped over. This one just needs a couple more minutes. And stirring does help, but it does get tiring on the arms. And you do put air bubbles in your soap. But because I'm piping, there's going to be gaps between all the piping and stuff like that. So I'm not too worried about the air bubbles. You know, it is going to be textured and not smooth. Now, while I'm waiting for that, I'm normally quite a messy soaper and very disorganised, but when you're piping, it pays to be organised. I have a glass that I especially use for this. I get it set up, and I've got my tip and my piping bag all ready to go. Tip. I'm using a reasonably big tip on this, not as big as I've got, and I have that all ready to go. The glass is good because it gives you something to scrape against, and because I'm doing 2 colours here, I'm going to actually just put it straight into the piping bag, half on one side and half on the other. I've got my soaps over here ready to go, ready to start piping on, and my cloths if I need it. The other thing that I will be doing is I will be putting a little bit of glitter on top. Yeah, everything's better with glitter. Biodegradable glitter. So, as soon as that purple soap's ready, and I can bring it up the side and it stands up, we will be ready to go. Now, when you pipe soap, it is not a special recipe. I quite often, this is one of my small moulds that I use, quite often make a batch for my big mould, put it in my small mould, and that actually gives me enough to pipe with. So it's not a special recipe, it is more about the consistency that you pipe at. You need it to be thick, you need it to stand up. Oh, it's almost there. You know, if you don't want to ruin the soap by piping on top, save a little bit of soap next time you make one. Just save a little bit. Get a bit of greaseproof paper, freezer paper, whatever you want, and just practice piping on that. And the great thing about that is what you can then do is just scrape it back up, put it in your piping bag and keep going. And really, you've only wasted a little bit of soap. So this is nothing special. The thing I do like about piping soaps too, if you're not putting embeds in them, you don't have to worry about where you pipe, because of the fact is that it's all going to get chopped up and look similar anyway. So I'm just trying to get a handle on this, so give it a good stir. Quite there. So I'm going to pause it. I'm going to keep going, trying to get this to a better consistency. Just want it to stand up a little bit more than that because it's a bit soft. I probably think that most people fail at their piping because they actually use the soap way too soon. They get scared about it being too thick. And as I said, you want it to stand up. You want it to be quite thick. And if you're doing a special recipe, special batch just to pipe with, you can do it quite warm. This is still warm. I made my soap just before I came on, and I actually did it, made the lye, put all my oils together, melted them, and they were warm, my lye was still warm, and yeah, that's looking good actually. My lye was still warm when I blended it, and one of the reasons I knew that, because I was only going to use it for piping, I knew it would set up quicker. Because otherwise, if you go from room temperature, it can take half an hour to an hour to get the setup that you want. And your soap piping. And if it's not quite right, when you put it in the bag and you pipe your first bit, put your bag aside and leave it for 10 minutes. It's not going anywhere. I'm just doing 2 colours in this one, so it's quite easy. The yellow soap's actually a lot thicker than the purple. It was still a little soft, but I'm going to give it a go anyway. As I said, if it doesn't work, then I just sit aside in the glass and wait 10 minutes. Give it another go. And the thing is too, that if you're piping on your soap, you know, we scrape it off. I think sometimes we get a bit too precious with what we do. Just make sure my tip's right down the end. You can see the soap's coming out. If it's falling out like that, it's not ready. Simple as that. Sorry. See, it's just coming out. It's not ready. Let's put it back in here. Go away for 10 minutes and leave it. Hi guys, I'm back, and as you can see it's set up a bit more. So I'm now going to start piping. As I said, I take my gloves off for this because of the fact that I need to have a feel of what I'm doing, and it's still too soft. And as I said to you before, if it's too soft, you don't like what you've done, especially when you've just started, you can actually just do that and take it off. So it's just a push down and up. Down and up. Sorry about the shaky screen, guys. Down and up. Try and stick within your mould. Because what you don't want is to have to shave half your piping when you're finished. Once you've done a couple, it's pretty easy. You'll get a gist of what you need to do and how big you need to do them. See, don't get ultra fussy. You're going to cut these anyway, and when you cut them, amazingly, most of the mistakes that you make, things that have happened, aren't noticeable by other people. Right, the eyes starting to come through now, which is what I wanted. I wanted more of a two-tone. There are other ways of doing this. If you really want a true two-tone, get some saran wrap or glad wrap, whatever you call it, plastic wrap, lay it out on your bench and put purple on one side, yellow on the other. I have done it when I've done 3 colours as well. And then what you do is you pile all your soap on there, and then you wrap it up like a sausage. Oh, that's good. Good one. I wasn't even looking at the camera to see where it was. Pile it up like a sausage, and then put that into your piping bag and cut off the end of it. So I've done that when I've done 3 colours. It just makes it easier. This one I wasn't too worried about. Because quite honestly, every soap you do, doesn't tune out like the soap next to it. And to be quite honest, if I wanted the exact same soap each time, I would go and buy a bar from the supermarket. Don't be scared of getting down in there too. Oh, it's alright. A bit of an air bubble. Another one. I'm getting to the bottom of the bag. I'm just going to lay that down for a second. Lots of glitter. I used to do this by hand. If you've looked at some of my other videos, you'll see me do it by hand. Just give you an idea of what it looks like. Found these from what we call here in New Zealand a $2 store. And I think they're made for coffee sprinkles or something along that line. But really great for just putting my glitter in. I know some people use tea strainers and all sorts of things. But so just to give you an idea, that's what it looks like. I'll do another one for you. So here's the next one. And before we do that, right, that's my jar that I was using. My glass, I mean. And that's the soap that leaked out. I'm not going to waste that. It's perfectly good soap. There's nothing wrong with it. Now if I put my thing back in there, I'm going to end up with soap all over the outside of the bag, which I'm contending with already. So, what I am going to do, I'm just going to take this cloth, I'm just going to give it a quick wear out. Yes, I now have all the soap all over my hands, so I'm just going to pause you while I give that a bit better wash. Right, so we're back again. I've cleaned off the soap from the inside, and while I've got the bag here, I'm just going to give this a brief clean on the outside. As I said, I use these green cloths all the time. Because I make great soap, and I want to make sure it all gets used. Now this job is messy, as you can see. It doesn't matter whether you're piping soap or you're piping buttercream. It's a messy job. And we are going to get air bubbles in this. There is a way to get them out. So I'm just slowly working the soap down. That helps get the air bubbles out. And when your bag gets too big, you just put the soap on the side. But you don't want it too full either. Don't overfill your soap, your piping bag. Okay. If If you overfill your piping bag when you go to do that, it all shoots out the top and you end up with all soap all over you. Make sure your tip's down at the bottom, because when you put it in the glass, it will actually move up. Right. So again, just squeeze, and that's it. As I said, if you want to practice next time you're doing soap, just leave yourself about half a cup, pipe it onto some paper, and then scrape it off. It's also a good way of understanding how thick you need it to pipe, because it goes against everything that you know as a soap maker to leave the soap sitting in the pot thickening up. Now I'm getting much better colour on these ones. I'm liking this a lot better. So squeeze and up, squeeze and up, squeeze and up. The more you pull up, the more the tip that you get on them. I'm not worried about it too much because these ones are going on the bottom. Now you can gel these. These ones here are going to be going in the oven. My oven gel. I just find it gives me a consistency that I wouldn't get anywhere else. I know exactly how long to do it for, how long to leave it in. If you notice, I've just sort of piped to the end, but I'm not too worried about it because of the fact is I always cut off the ends anyway, so now I need to get on with this because of the fact that this soap is starting to set up and I've got 2 more bars to do. But yeah, piping's just practice, guys. So, you know, some people would have got really upset about what just happened there. I just pushed it back into place. It's going to be down on the bottom. So it really doesn't matter that it's not 100%